this Post-Standard article. I'm not sure everybody got to read it, but they read the title and it seems they have a lot to say about that. I didn't just make up my viewpoint on where we stand with immigration. I received guidance from the Attorney General's office. This is public information. You can go to the Attorney General, State Attorney General's website. You can obtain this. The guidance has been around since at least 2017. It was updated since Letitia James became the Attorney General. I also received guidance from our county attorney in reference to immigration. After that, I've also received guidance from the State Sheriff's Association, who has a group of lawyers that help with that guidance. I think it's important for the public to know that as sheriff, it is my duty to keep them safe. And not only their person, but their wallets. And if we do, we will be sued. And that will cost the taxpayers. So it's important to understand the law. It's important to understand this guidance has been put out. And in my defense, I'm not a lawyer. Some of this confusion was created by a county legislator in Onondaga County. His name is Rich McCarron. He's had a lot to say about what I should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And he's claiming that we let a criminal out on the streets. This criminal, Galindo Lopez, if you recall, went into the Walmart in Cicero a while ago. He went into the ladies' room and he tried to molest a woman in there and got himself arrested. In the process of that arrest, it was found out that ICE wanted him a legal document. They're not signed by a judge. To make it a legal document, it's called a judicial warrant. It's something that's signed by a judge. So this Galindo Lopez eventually was put on pretrial release by a county court judge. Before he was released, this office called ICE legally, and ICE came and took him. We never let this sexual predator out on the street. He was picked up by ICE lawfully. It is not a crime for undocumented individuals to remain in the United States. According to Arizona versus United States, that's a 2012 court case. Then there's another court case, the People versus DeMarco, that says local law enforcement is not permitted to detain people without a judicial warrant. So those are some of the cases that we have to operate under. So with that, I'd like to open up for some questions and help you understand what I understand at the moment.
This Galindo Lopez individual he was being housed at the Onondaga County Justice Center until you were contacted ICE, is that correct?
Correct.
Are there other people being held at the Justice Center right now like him that you're aware of who are here illegally that you will be contacting ICE about?
Let me explain to how these people come to our attention. On a traffic stop or when someone's arrested, we run them through the arrest system to see if they have warrants. And if you run someone's driver's license, a warrant will come up if it's put into the system. And at the same time, that's when these ICE detainers will come up with a phone number for us to call. Typically, we'll call that phone number and ask ICE, do you want this person or not? Get in troubles if we detain that person too long. If we come across someone that has committed a crime, well, that's a whole different story because they've broken state laws. We have probable cause to make that arrest under the Fourth Amendment. Then we keep them in our jail. Once they make bail, we cannot detain them after that. And that's where some of this gray area is coming in. We can detain them with a judicial warrant. A warrant signed by a federal judge, we can detain someone. A detainer not signed by a federal judge, that's where the sheriff would get in trouble. So do we have other people? I don't know the exact number at the moment, but we do have other examples of people that were held in our jail locally on federal warrants signed by a federal judge. This Lopez was not held by a federal judge. You know, he got the pretrial release. We called ICE and said, hey, he's getting out, and they came and got him, which is legal.
Is it standard practice for you to notify ICE if and when a undocumented immigrant is being released from the Justice Center?
Yes.
When you say federal warrants and judicial warrants, do you also recognize the ICE administrative warrants, the ones that are not signed by federal judges?
Yeah, those administrative warrants are just that. It's not a judicial warrant. We have to have a judicial warrant signed by a judge to keep someone, no different than anyone else. You know, it's a judge that puts you in jail. It's just the police doing the paperwork, if that makes sense.
Has anyone from the federal government contacted you about this issue in the last couple of days?
Yeah, so the county executive and I met maybe 3 weeks ago. We had a short discussion about the difference between detainers and judicial warrants, because that question came up, and understandably, people don't understand the difference. And that's why it's important to have this conversation to explain, you know, a detainer is just that, it's a request to detain someone. A judicial warrant is an order from a judge that has to be followed. That's the difference.
What does following those judicial warrants look like for your office? Is it just holding people with those warrants, or does it include going to pick someone up? What is that scope?
Typically, the some federal authority will make that transport. So
And
we're
then
just,
you will hold them in the Justice Center?
we'll hold them on that warrant. That warrant's actually holding them.
Okay.
The warrants hold on.
Correct.
Is there anyone currently in?
It's really not that common. In my 30-plus year career, I've only had maybe 3 that I can think of. You know, a traffic stop or somebody was wanted by Border Patrol at the time. I can remember domestic I went to, and I ran that one of the person's names, and the federal agency wanted to talk to him or come get him.
What kind of guidance have you given to your deputies, custody deputies?
Yep. So we had a staff meeting this morning about this subject. The guidance from the Attorney General's office is the best guidance because it's referenced all the way through by the various case law. So we were giving that guidance to our chiefs. The chiefs will filter that down to other command staff and then to our roll calls. So the entire agency, and I intend to put out a email at some point here with a synopsis of where we stand on this thing legally.
Okay, so that's like, that was gonna be my follow-up question, is kind of what is Onondaga County's, like, your policy right now as it stands? Those guidelines have not yet been released yet.
Yeah, our policy's been unchanged. We follow the law. We are not gonna violate the law. We're not gonna violate the Fourth Amendment by any means at all.
And so I'm wondering, why is it important, you know, I've read you alluding to this, why do you think it's important? Obviously, you don't want to get sued, but also just talking more from a heartfelt perspective.
You know, I've traveled abroad. I've been to 30 different countries, and say a friend of mine from Germany comes to America, and they're staying in a local hotel because they want to see all the sights of Syracuse. And ICE decides to do, or some federal agency decides to do a raid on that for Fourth Amendment protection. And the answer is yes. If you are visiting America, the Constitution protects you.
And you don't have an exact number still on the number of ICE detainer requests throughout the years here.
It's not common. I believe the Post Standard reported there was 110 over a 10-year period from 2007 to 2017. And of those 110, 40 people ICE or whoever picked up. Is that accurate?
So as far as you know, sorry, just going back to one of the previous questions, as far as you know, there's no one on a federal warrant being detained here currently?
Correct. If somebody came in and during this conversation, obviously I missed that one, but when I asked that question this morning, I was told no.
What has been, going back to your guidance for your deputies, if ICE were to come knocking on the jail next door, what have you told your deputies how to handle that specific situation?
The same way we have been. If you get a 48-hour detainer, right from the beginning, we will notify ICE, because when you run that person looking for warrants, that comes up, that phone number and everything. So we'll notify them that we have contact with this person. If they get arrested, obviously lawfully under probable cause, Fourth Amendment, and they're in our jail and a judge puts bail on them, the way I understand the guidance, we can keep them up until they make bail. And we can let federal authorities know when they're getting released. But we can't detain them beyond when they make bail.
What have the last couple of weeks been like for your deputies and your whole office with the ever-changing events and the uncertainty, and from a personal and a professional level, what have the last few weeks been like for you guys?
So January gave us quite a headache, not just because of this issue and others, but The undersheriff and I had conversation 2 months ago now that national events will trickle down and affect us locally. We knew that, but it doesn't change how we do business. We do business as usual. We arrest people based on probable cause. We do thorough investigations. It really, at the moment, has not changed our operation.
Has there been any other time during the course of your professional career under an administration where you have felt similarly to how you do now?
Tomorrow, and this agency will continue on without me because there's professionals here. We train the professionals that are going to take over after us.
And what do you expect with the number of detainer requests from ICE? Do you expect that number to increase as the year progresses?
With current events, I can only assume yes, but that's just an assumption. We'll see how things play out.
I guess just kind of going into ICE in the communities, do you see possibly a future that they more inbred in the Syracuse area, especially in communities that have minorities of brown and black people?
Yeah, what ICE does is what ICE does. They're not going to ask the local sheriff his opinion on what they're going to do.
What's your message to the community? What do you want people to know who may be fearful?
The main thing is to know, one, trust your sheriff. I'm not going to lead you down the wrong path. I'm not going to get you sued. I'm going to do my homework to keep you safe, and that's your person and your purse strings. We detain someone unlawfully, you will get sued.
And what do you have to say to undocumented immigrants here who might feel scared? And you know, we've gone back and forth. It's a welcoming city. It's a sanctuary city. What is it? But you know, a message to those who are scared right now.
Yeah, I'd like to give a message to them that hopefully our American dream and our American system will work for them. And don't break the law, because we're going to catch you. Anything else? All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
If you want to see any of these documents, we'll have them here.
Can I just see the AG one really quick? Make sure I have the right one. I'm sure Mark does, but he's not working today. Thank you.
You want to look at any of this?
Yeah.
So this is the difference between.
Have you talked to the Tompkins County Sheriff at all?
Signed by any.
No.
Just curious.
And this is the difference